Hey there, Alex here. I'm a fan of compact devices, so given the option, often than not, I'll go for the smaller phone, which is why I've been really looking forward to using the Xperia XZ2 Compact. Amongst all the big screen Android flagship devices out there, it's easy to overlook the regular XZ2, but for the smaller XZ2 Compact, it's actually really unique because of its smaller size. This time round, we finally get a major design refresh for the Xperia lineup, with a trendier 18:9 display and a chunkier but more rounded design. The bezels are still a little thick, but it's a step in the right direction. It's a bit of a shame that the fingerprint sensor has been moved to the rear, but it still works well enough here. The rounded edges, metal frame, and curved back feels great in the hand. There is a nice heft to the phone too, so despite the plastic back, it still feels solid. It would have felt a bit more premium to have a glass back like the regular XZ2 of course, but it's not a big deal. The XZ2 Compact actually has quite a few major improvements over its predecessor. Starting with the display, the resolution finally got a bump to Full HD+, and the panel itself is also better looking with nicer contrast and brightness. The stereo speakers got a nice upgrade in quality too, and it sounds really good for a phone this size. So despite its smaller screen, the multimedia experience here is actually really good. I've really enjoyed playing games on the phone too thanks to the great performance provided by the new Snapdragon 845 chipset. I'm not going to go into benchmarks, but from day-to-day use, it's been great. Smooth gameplay and great battery efficiency. So despite a relatively modest battery capacity, I'm getting a day of heavy use out of the phone easily. This time round, there's also no handicap on the XZ2 Compact in terms of the storage or dual SIM capabilities, which is actually a first for the Compact series if I'm not mistaken. Software experience is also something I consider to be a plus point for Sony devices these days. The speed and responsiveness of the software is just top notch. Everything just flies. I could nitpick about the few bloatware, but some of them are actually useful, and the ones I don't want can be removed. The launcher itself is also pretty clean for the most part, and comes with some nice customization options. Having the Google feed easily accessible is still really nice. Overall, it's just a really clean experience that is just as enjoyable to use as Google's own devices. Best of all, Sony's track record when it comes to software updates and security patches over the past year has been pretty decent. It's not as good as the Pixel of course, but it's better than most other manufacturers. Let's talk about the camera next. While on paper it looks similar to the XZ1 Compact, there is actually a pretty significant improvement in terms of image processing. This is the most obvious in low light shots. The image processing is no longer as aggressive as before and preserves details a lot better. Superior Auto Mode works well for the most part, and overall, it's actually a pretty enjoyable camera to use. I like the way it processes colors and it's reliable enough in full auto mode. It may not have that HDR plus processing that I love from the Google Pixel 2, but it's still what I would consider to be a decent camera. Like most other phones, it has a bokeh mode as well, but the edge detection isn't that great. Video recording wise, even though it lacks hardware stabilization, Sony's software stabilization is still pretty decent. You can even record HDR at 4K resolution, even though you can only enjoy them on HDR compatible displays, which this phone has by the way. The XZ2 series also improves upon the ultra slow motion feature introduced with the XZ Premium. It offers a slightly higher resolution recording at 1080p. Even though it cuts the recording time in half, it's still nice to have that option. Front camera wise, it takes decent looking selfies for the most part, but can look a little soft in low light. I'm not sure if you guys remember the 3D creator feature from the XZ1 series, the one where you can scan a person's face in 3D. This time round it works with the front camera too, and it's just as weird looking as it was before. It can be a very fun feature, and the option to print an actual 3D model is actually pretty neat, but I'm just not sure if the effort required to get a decent looking scan is worth it. If you look at the individual aspects of the XZ2 Compact, you'll find that it isn't really the best at anything in particular. It's just a jack of all trades. But that's why it's so good. Even for a smaller phone, it still does everything well, and there isn't really that much of a compromise. Still getting flagship level hardware and performance, IP68 water and dust resistance, stereo speakers, and a great software experience. Comparing it to the XZ2, the only thing I'm missing out on are things I don't really need, like the dynamic vibration system, wireless charging, and that glass back. Best of all, it's quite a bit cheaper than the XZ2, and it's probably one of the cheaper Snapdragon 845 phones that you can get. This combination of good software experience, well-rounded hardware, and reasonable pricing makes the XZ2 Compact one of my favorite phones right now. If you're looking for the best compact Android phone, this is it. Thanks for watching my review of the Sony Xperia XZ2 Compact. If you have enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks again, and see you guys on the next one.